Hallo und willkommen, ich bin Meister Lenze and you're watching Get Germanized, being Asian in Germany and what to expect.
All on board, what should I do?
Ich weiß.
First of all, let me say Germans generally like Asians, so don't worry. In this video I'm going to tell you what stereotypes Asians might find themselves confronted with when in Germany, and we'll talk about what Asians might find annoying or weird here in Germany. The stereotypes that some Germans might have about Asians are: Asians all look the same. Asians eat dogs, cats, and crickets and other insects. Every Asian knows martial arts. Asians live very traditional and don't want to adapt. Asians are very religious / spiritual. Asians are all workaholics, they never stop working. Asian women are submissive or obedient. Asian men oppress their women. Asians always eat rice. Asians have a funny accent. Asians are always good students and never make trouble. Asians love taking photos. Of course, we know that these stereotypes are not really true. Tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Which one of these stereotypes are actually true and which of them are just nonsense? From my experience in Germany, some Asian cultures are more popular than others. For example, we love Japanese people, the Chinese people, Korean people. Yeah, I think that's the top three here in Germany. But don't get me wrong, like Asians are generally liked in Germany, like I said before. I've also found some very interesting things that Asians don't seem to like, or at least have difficulties with when they visit Germany. They don't like that Germans refer to all of them as Asians, because obviously that is a gigantic continent and there are lots of different countries with different cultures, and they don't like it if they are just put into like a Schublade, as we Germans would say, into a shelf as Asian. They also don't like if we ask them if they can tell their countrymen apart. You know, if they can differentiate between their friends. That is such a stupid question and stereotype, like that Asians all look the same. It's obviously not true. We just are so used to looking for different features in people. For example, we differentiate between eye color, hair color, and stuff like that. While Asians mostly have like darker hair and darker types in general, like brown eyes and stuff like that, and so they have learned to look at different features to tell each other apart. And so obviously it's more difficult for us Germans to do so, but of course it's the same the other way around as well. Asians might think we all look the same. I've read that especially Japanese people hate our public toilets because they just think it's preposterous that you have to pay like 50 cents for using a public toilet here in Germany. And sometimes, remember, if you ever visited Germany, sometimes there's a little man or woman sitting in front of it collecting money. And yes, it is not always mandatory, but they look at you when you leave like this.
Hey, where's my money?
And you feel bad if you don't pay. And apparently that is really weird for Japanese people, because in their culture no one would ever think of taking money for a public toilet. Asians apparently usually find Germans very rude, especially those Germans who work in shops. Also, bosses in Germany often don't have a problem to embarrass a staff member in front of the whole staff. That's something that's unthinkable in many Asian cultures, because it is very important to keep your face, you call it, das Gesicht bewahren, to leave someone with their honor and self-respect. And in Germany, well, at least some bosses don't seem to care about that all that much. Also, what they don't like is that Germans tend to klugscheißen a lot, to smart shit a lot, to like tell people if they know something better right away, and to remind people of their own mistakes for hours on end. In comparison to cities in Asia, German cities are often abandoned in the late evening hours, which is unusual for people, for example, from Tokyo or Singapore. And if you're lucky enough to find a group of people, it often is just a rude teenager gang. Another thing is that Germans sometimes joke about Katalogbräute, which means like catalog brides, like mail order brides. And obviously that is really rude, especially for Asians who are just visiting Germany, and then someone refers to them as that in front of their German partner or German friend. And I just apologize in advance if that ever happens to you, because those people are just ignorant and stupid, and usually like you shouldn't be confronted with that problem, but there might be one or the other idiot that does that. So my apologies for that. Another thing is that Germany is not as orderly as you might think. There's graffiti everywhere, at least in bigger cities. The stairways of like park houses smell of urine sometimes because homeless people sleep there, and we have lots of homeless people here in Germany. Even though we're a rich country, there's still a lot of homeless people, so don't be surprised if you come and visit Germany and see that. Yeah, and trains are also not always on time. Often, but not always. Another thing that Asians don't seem to like when visiting Germany is the German food. They think it's greasy, fatty, and only consists of meat, which is partially true, but not really, because I am a vegetarian and I try to eat really healthy, and you can easily do that. But I guess you have to cook it yourself then, or find a restaurant that serves stuff like that. A traditional German restaurant often has this greasy and fatty food, I admit that, but there are definitely alternatives if you visit Germany. Another thing that some Asians don't seem to like, for example Japanese people, is the concept of giving tips when eating in a restaurant, or when someone delivers food to you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's not very common in Japan, for example, that people give tips, because the person who works there would never take any, like, what do you call it, pity money or something like that, they would call it probably. But here in Germany, or at least in other countries as well, like in America, they only, like waitresses and stuff like that, only live from tips pretty much. In Germany they get like a normal wage and tips. Do you think that is a weird concept? If you're Asian, or if you live in an Asian country, have you made experiences with that, or is it not really a problem when you visit Germany? Again, feel free to leave a comment. Constructive criticism is always welcome, or if you think I've said something wrong, or if you just want to add something to the list, please let me know as well. I really appreciate that. Apart from that, if you liked the video, leave a like, obviously, subscribe to the channel for more videos about the German language and culture. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen. Lethal Cake says, I just hate Germany because history. Well, that's fair enough. But I think it's very ignorant, because if you've never been to Germany, and I don't think you would hate it if you came here, because many people actually like it a lot. And I have heard from so many of you guys that came to Germany with like stereotypes in their heads, or even like fears about certain things like Nazis, and they were really pleasantly surprised and they really love Germany now. So I hope you will make the same experience at some point.